This is Sean with Gate City Foundation Drainage. We are back on a job out here today, and so we caught some gutters on this house, but we didn't catch this one. We had talked about catching it, but they didn't want to do it at the time. And so looking back out here, this is really going to be tricky to do. This gutter is also a major problem here, and we had installed this drain right here, and it's working really well, but they still don't like all this water coming across here. And so we caught this gutter last time. We put in this French drain over here, and this has now been completely dry, and this is all working really well. So this is all our French drain, and we went into a basin right here. We caught some gutters up there, and we caught this gutter here. So this is all working really well. They also had some grading done and took all that high area back, took that down. We had originally thought about taking this gutter across here and tying it into our existing system, but this is actually going uphill into the backyard here, and so plus it's a lot longer run, so that one doesn't really work too well. Going to the street here is equally problematic because we barely have any fall. This gutter here we spent a bunch of time talking about, and going across here, it's low here and it goes back up to the lawn right there, to the curb right there. So that one's a difficult one too. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put in an above ground pipe behind the bushes here. The homeowner is going to spray paint it, and we're going to leave it kind of temporary just to see if catching this gutter does do anything. And if they want to, we can bring in some dirt and build this area up a little bit, but that's getting pretty extreme. So we're just going to leave this as kind of a temporary for now and see how it does. And if it works good enough, we'll come back and bolt it to the brick. Take a look at that myrtle tree on the corner right there. You're going to see in the next clip that that thing just completely clogged up the gutters with fine flowers and fine leaves. So this job was definitely a tricky one, and normally I would never take on a job like this because there's simply not enough fall here. But this was a friend of mine, and he understands that yes, this system is going to flow, but it's going to need a little bit more maintenance than most of my systems. So for one thing we're going to do here is take out this myrtle tree, and that'll get rid of a lot of the debris that's going into the gutter. But the major problem here is there just was not enough fall. And so you can see here in this clip that the fall is almost non-existent to the curb. And so what we have to do here is we have to install our pipe. The pipe's going to flow, but it's going to need a lot more maintenance than most of my systems. And so what I found is most homeowners, once you install the system, it kind of gets forgotten about. And I've driven by houses before where the gutters are completely clogged up and everything. The pipe is still flowing, but that was because it had a really good fall. And so when you give that pipe really good fall, it's going to flow. So here we agreed to do the work, and again, the idea was, okay, this is going to need a little bit more maintenance than normal. This is totally full. Is that full as well?
No, this is part here.
I get a lot of questions on why I don't use adapters from the gutter into our pipe. And look at what this adapter did. It just held all this material. So that's why I don't use these things. Even that tiny bit can catch material. once you start catching material, it's just a domino effect. And look at that. So I know it looks bad, but that's why we drop our gutter pipe right into the PVC pipe. Now normally we probably wouldn't try to do this whole pipe thing over here, but if you remember from part one of this job, this is one of my mountain biking friends, and so I feel good doing this because they understand it looks kind of bad, and you know, if it's going to solve the water problems, though, they're good with it. So I wanted to see if I could show you. I don't know if it'll show up or not, but let's see here. The ground kind of goes down right here, and then it goes back up. So that's what we're looking at there. And so we're going back uphill to the curb. And so the problem with this is if we just lay a pipe across there, it's going to be out of the ground at that low point. So I talked to the customer about bringing in some dirt here and building this area up, and that's kind of what we're doing here with this temporary thing. Is if this temporary thing gives them really, really good results and they think it's worthwhile to bring in some dirt here, they may do that. If this temporary thing works well enough to just leave it and make it more permanent, then we'll come back and we'll bolt it to the brick. Ronald just got this one in, and so this now represents a set point for this gutter. So now what we have to do is we have to try to get our pipe here. We have to lift it up on this side way over here so that we have fall going down to this point here. From here, Jeremy's now working on getting us down to the road and making sure we have fall down there. So this is kind of a funny way to do this, but as long as you've got fall everywhere, the thing should flow like crazy. So right here, I'm at about maybe 1/8 of a bubble. Here I'm at about maybe 1/4 to 1/8 of a bubble right there. Here I'm at a full bubble. So we're sitting on top of the homeowner's birdhouse here. She said it was finally getting some usage, but this might be our height because we're at a full bubble there too. So as long as we get going down the way, we should be in pretty good shape.
Alright, that's obviously gotta go down. That's full bubble, but that's too high.
Let me step on it here.
Yeah. I think
Here, pull it out of there. Let me step on the pipe.
there's a rock. There's a rock that fell.
Oh,
That's what's up. I was like, I know that ain't right.
yeah.
It was down lower before.
Okay. Jeremy broke out the 8-foot level.
Yeah.
So we're just breaking in the right direction here.
Gotta do more digging.
So, well, I don't know, because we can come up a little bit here, Jeremy. We got a tiny bit of turf yet to cover there. And let's put our next pipe in there and see how we're doing down here. Because,
If I pull that up just a smidge.
yep, that's maybe a 1/16 of a bubble.
Yeah.
All right, we're still barely breaking in the correct direction, so I'm good with that. Whew, barely breaking in the right direction.
Let's see.
All right, Jeremy, let's eat. We get the same Hungry Howie delivery guy every single time, no matter where we are. It's the same guy. We've been doing these core jobs on the curb for the last couple of jobs here, and this one here was about 45 minutes. It was god awful, and Jeremy got started on it, and I think that bit may be a little bit worn out. It still has got some meat on it, but it just looks like it just doesn't really flow as well as it did. And so there you see me taking over for a little bit, and it's just real like 45 minutes worth. There's Ronald. He's jumping on it, and so you can see the camera set up on that level over there. I'm trying to get the punch through, and there's Jeremy on it, so we're just swapping off back and forth. And so not really sure what's going on with that core bit, but I need to check into it. Since I started coring these curbs, I just kind of give the pipe a custom angle, and a couple of my YouTube viewers have said that I should stick it out and try cutting it flush with the Sawzall here. So I decided to try that on this job, but you can see pretty quickly that this is not going well at all for me. And so I tried to cut it flush, and it just got god awful mangled. And so that was not really acceptable to leave the pipe looking like that. So we tried to beat it out of there. It was just jammed in there, so we couldn't get it out of there. So we just went ahead and cut it off and cut the pipe out of there, and then just pretty much destroyed it and redid it. We cut a custom angle on it. So I gave that a try. You all must be better than me, because I just wasn't able to get it done. We are getting our pipe in, and we're just trying to get some water on it to see how we're doing here. Not great, but it is hitting the curb. Yeah. We got to be real. We got to really bet it. That's all we can do. we are finished with this job, so let's take a look. Remember, we couldn't really come across with this gutter across the lawn right here because it's super low right here, and then it's going uphill to the curb. So we talked about a bunch of different stuff. We talked about cutting the concrete. We talked about putting a pump basin in right here. The problem is this water is catching a huge amount of roof and it just completely washes across. So we do have our channel drain over here that we put in last time. So they say this still works really well, but during the really heavy rain it does get overwhelmed a little bit. But that doesn't happen very often. This is all real dry over here. And so this side is, everything we did over here is great. The problem is these two front gutters. And we had talked about these when we were over here the first time. And the homeowner had just bought the house, so they were doing some other stuff. And so this kind of turned into a, after a while there, they wanted to get this done. So again, we've got a pretty high stack right there to build up some head pressure. We didn't put any clean outs in here because they didn't want the industrialized look of it. But that's still enough room right there to get my sewer jetter hose into it. So that's why I usually don't put clean outs, because we still can access them right there. And we had to fight with this thing to get whatever fall we could down to the curb, and you just saw me run some water on there. So once it fills up, it does flow. And so again, this is not really the situation that I like to do, but this is a friend of mine, so we went ahead and got it done for him. So can't wait to get back over here again in the rain. Back out here on this job where we put in a fairly flat drainage system. So if you remember, we caught this gutter and went across behind the bushes and then came underground here. And so I wanted to stop by and take a look. Now we do have a little bit of debris in here. So because we don't have much fall here, you know, we talked about this with the customer, with the homeowner, that this is going to need to be cleaned out and maintained a little bit more so than most of my systems. But you can see that water is flowing through there. So look at how dry it is over there. Just getting all that water out of the equation. The grass is coming back up pretty good. And this was just a swamp before, right through here. So I'd say it's working pretty good. And normally I wouldn't be putting in a system with this little amount of fall. But if you remember, this is one of my mountain biking buddies. He's kind of a local legend around these parts. So we went ahead and got it done for him. So that's exciting. Here is the plug from coring this curb on this job. And so there it is right there. So I'm going to sign that and put it up on eBay for you all. Alright, so I'll stick this up on eBay if anybody's interested. This is the core from that job.